That was a close one. Welcome back.
Plenty of others, including myself, aren't reaching for Black Ops 6 at the moment, and I've been trying to piece together why that is. I think most of it stems from the last two games blending together, forming this weird 2-year Modern Warfare haze. Black Ops games play so much more differently than the Modern Warfare games. There's been a push towards faster and faster gameplay, and they treat that idea like it's what every COD player dreams of. On top of that, the new Black Ops games have this action movie cadence of constant engagement to them, which can stifle strategy. Stay with me now. The average retirement age for an esports player is around 25 to 26 years old. And that doesn't mean set for life money. It's more of, yeah, we're bringing in a 15-year-old from Utah this afternoon whenever his mom drops him off from chess club. I'm gonna need you to clear out your desk. The average Call of Duty multiplayer match obviously isn't a showdown for a winner-takes-all prize. But some of these Ritalin-pumped kids play like it! Look, I'll be the first to admit, I'm a bit of a slower player. Guilty as charged. Not a big Omni Movement guy. If anything, it messes with my movement during regular gameplay. Then again, if you were able to watch me play COD, my gameplay has been labeled as bot movement, E3 demo, and a wonderful bouquet of many exotic slurs. Whoopie head. Look, I'm just trying to have fun, same as you. Modern Warfare 3 had close to 150 different weapons, tons of weapon kits, and so much tactical equipment. Makes you wonder why everyone uses an EpiPen like they're allergic to stocks. Call of Duty 21, aka Black Ops 6, is fine. The guns are fine. I mean, it's a little heavy on the ARs and SMGs. There's only 2 shotguns and 3 LMGs at launch. Hey, that's not even an LMG, that's a belt-fed M4! They've made it very clear on who they're catering to. Where the Modern Warfare series is known for being slightly more tactical, Black Ops is more about living out your John Wick fantasy. Speed is one thing, but Black Ops 6 is just the zoomiest game I think I've played in the series besides Cold War. I think Omni Movement is a bit of a buzzword, and it's not a convincing upgrade to how most people play. In trailers and tech demos, they showcase sliding, diving at all angles. Let me give you a little insight on how the average player plays COD. We should be happy to see movement tech refined in a palatable way for all players. The biggest development that we've had so far is dolphin diving versus sliding. They're both very accessible now, simultaneously on controller and PC. Credit where credit is due, I can't get enough of dolphin diving off high places, immediately cranking a 180 and you get this little baby perspective. I don't know, it kills me every time. It doesn't help me at all, I die so much. Omni Movement has not matured to the level it needs to yet, but I'm hoping it doesn't end up in the dumpster next to Exo Movement. But like I said, I'm gonna level with you, big dog. I ain't good at shooters. I do not get my ones, and if anything, I barely get my assists. I don't know if you call those halves. You know, I got my half. Tap them up real bad. I didn't realize just how bad I was until I switched to mouse and keyboard around 2 years ago. To mitigate the battle of raw skill, I've come up with ways throughout the years to face off against even the best players. I've been told my methods of mitigating gunfights are cowardly. But like many other tactically challenged individuals, I need tools to fight with other than hypebeast AR builds in order to win sometimes. Again, I don't want to give you the wrong idea of how I play Call of Duty. I enjoy search and destroy a lot more than any other game mode. And so, how you play in that mode is much more advanced than regular core game modes. There's consequences to dying, there's objectives, and there's rounds. If I'm playing core modes, I am blindly running into fights, getting a kill, optional of course, dying, respawning, and getting right back out there like nothing happened. Any sane person would see this loop of gameplay and start checking for psychological symptoms. But as a COD man with the COD rot, I get it. Every couple of games, once a day, once a week, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter when. There's that feeling you get with a nice string of kills. A good kill streak can keep the average player going for a long time. No doubt about it. It's like a COD runner's high, but it's also the same high that we chase in competitive environments. The core modes in general offer the same high regardless of what it's called, but I'd propose that Search and Destroy has a much more diverse palette of winning, which can be rewarded with different skills and objectives. Early round setup is crucial. Watching angles, flanks, bomb sites, spawns is crucial. Planting posture is crucial. Post-plant setup is crucial. How you retake a site is crucial. It all culminates into who wins and loses. It is the game mode that my group of friends have looked forward to playing for the last 5 installments. But with the choked utility, vastly streamlined classes, and the speed fantasy being ramped up, the best way I can put it is search and destroy just does not work in Black Ops 6. Now, simpler modes like Team Deathmatch, Hardpoint, Domination play much better than they ever did in the Modern Warfare games. These modes are constant action all the time, exactly how Black Ops 6 was and still is marketed. But what that means for Search and Destroy, the mode that rewards patience, caution, creativity, is that it clashes with the game that rewards you for going a million miles an hour all the time. When I'm looking to buy the next game in the series, I'm exclusively thinking about Search, and everything else adds value after the fact. Black Ops 6 Zombies has been solid since release, but I'm not super invested in it after seeing Modern Warfare 3 yes and the story. After Cold War and Vanguard Zombies, the story writers have been doing this weird cliffhanger trope over and over again. This has happened with past Zombies installments, but it's just getting old with our current storyline, which wants so desperately to be as important as the first one. On top of that, Modern Warfare 3 Zombies cutscenes were both uncanny and cringe, and they give me such an ick after completing any Easter egg, nonchalant mission. The cutscenes are much more well done in the current game. The new stuff we're getting out of Activision is a lot better, but we'll see. Zombies overall is a great mode to have when I'm tired of multiplayer, but I just can't get myself invested in this multiplayer. I've heard the campaign is great, but at the end of the day, you're not buying the game to just play the campaign. A Call of Duty campaign serves 2 purposes. They pad out playtime and offline gameplay, and they introduce you to gameplay, mechanics, themes, and the overarching story of the game. Maybe not that last part. That's completely nullified when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Terminator, and influencer cosmetics are added to the game. But only time will tell when Activision is ready to ask for the lizard and the monkey back. Hats off to Activision though. They're continuing to add tasteless cosmetics all on their own, without leeching off of intellectual properties. They get to be insufferable all by themselves. I saw Black Ops 6 getting hyped months in advance. In between the things they were marketing and what they were showing in trailers, I knew this one wasn't for me. In fact, a friend generously gifted it to me, so I did give it a fair shot with them in all modes. But the interest in the game between all of us that regularly play COD plummeted, and now we've just all sort of went back to the previous game. When I made my closing video on Modern Warfare 3, which was pretty good, you should go watch it after this, I made this little animation in the intro symbolizing the beginning and the ending of a new era of Call of Duty. We're all just COD cogs in the COD cog machine. The animation wasn't just there to sum up how Activision immediately switches its identity for the new title, but it also conveys how time just stops in all of the older games. There's no balancing, no updated unlocking paths, no support. It's a still life franchise. That's a song from the album In With the Out Crowd by Less Than Jake, featured on the Madden 07 soundtrack. Listen, 97% of you guys aren't subscribed, and I just think no balancing means whatever weapon was flavor of the day got sort of stuck like that. I went over the weekly challenges before, but the meta changed constantly in this game. If you decide to Mr. Mosby mosey on over to Search and Destroysby, we encounter the final result of what weapons were truly good in the game. Among them are the usual suspects of high-capacity SMGs and no-stock snipers, but also the CX-9 Burst Conversion Kit hits like an AR with SMG mobility. The combat bow is fast, mobile, and deadly. And the Akimbo Spaz 12 Jack Devastators offer excellent TTK for a weapon in the shotgun category. Again, bringing to light the weird fascination with COD developers and dual-wield shotguns. I get it, but one set should be fine, not 3 or 4. The CX-9 kit must have recently been showcased by some content creator because it's become more used in regular matches. It's seeing a lot of love right now. My thought is it should have been left behind as it was one of the first conversion kits, but I'm guessing it's some combination of that and a secret buff that's turned it into something that can easily outperform most of the ARs in the game. The bow is it's straight up a middle finger to the Riot Shield community and Modern Warfare 2 enthusiasts. It creates a near perfect way to one-shot any shield player while only taking up a secondary slot. By the same token, it also completely nullifies the crossbow from Modern Warfare 2, which when that weapon was brought forward to Modern Warfare 3, it lost some of its one-shot capability to Riot Shields because the developers couldn't be bothered with balancing it or coding it to work properly with EOD, a perk that dampened some of the damage dealt by explosives and other fire stuff. But that was a pretty common problem with these two games colliding. They kept on remaking the same weapons in slightly different ways, but they do this neat little thing where they completely overbuff the new thing so that it outshined the old thing. I'm talking a bit too much about Modern Warfare again, I'm sorry. Point is,
I like to curate them. This game blows, this game blows.
The Riot Shield was nerfed, out-countered, glitched, and ultimately phased out in terms of viability. It didn't even make it to the new game, and articles came pouring out about, oh, everyone's happy that the shield is gone, because we can't handle a little bit of depth in our shooter game. Keeping that in mind, the best way I can describe Black Ops 6 is that it is streamlined. No pesky Riot Shields, or gameplay options that take more than 2 seconds for your brain to process. I mean, after playing nearly every competitive shooter that's been popular today and for the last few years, the COD series feels like a Little Caesars, and Black Ops 6 is just hot and ready for $70. Call of Duty will always just be hot and ready. Not good, but it's there. You can go buy it if you want. Every game of Search and Destroy that I've played in Black Ops 6 has had one strategy.
I was thinking the same thing.
Again, works in every other mode, but for Search, it dumbs it back down. And with no tools left in the game to counter that behavior, the magic has just been lost. All I can think of is blast traps maybe, but those you just throw on the ground. They're just a streamlined Bouncing Betty Claymore hybrid, which is probably why they didn't bother adding either of those to the game. Despite me fulfilling the role of that one player everyone hates, we're reaching this COD mobilification. We have an unbelievably derivative lineup from the last 4 years of Call of Duty, which have had ups and downs. Call of Duty Vanguard, Modern Warfare 2 and 3, and Black Ops 6 are each derivatives of a previous game. But then again, those games are based off previous games that were also derivative, which are then derivative of more previous games. I understand that that's how sequels work, but once we get past the Neo trio of Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and Infinite Warfare, we reached this weird new era of Call of Duty. I'll glaze Modern Warfare 2019 until the cows come home, but Black Ops Cold War arguably set the Black Ops series back on the right path. That game, I think, did streamlining correctly. That game had no Riot Shield either, yet I felt like even with a much more dominating sniper presence, it did enough right where bomb sites, planting, and defending actually mattered and were controllable in the mode. There was fun to be had because the rules made sense. And even though it was a stark contrast to Modern Warfare, it leaned on the original Black Ops games more than anything else. For the game that originally followed Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2 was great, but that game was a far greater departure as a sequel. That game had so much extra to it, and multiplayer ended up feeling super futuristic. And Call of Duty needed that for a generational push to combat against their biggest competitor at the time, Battlefield 3 and 4. If you get around to playing the downright tasteful campaign of Black Ops 2, it includes so many weapons from the first game. They feel out of place using them in a modern setting, though the game does let you do just that. In Zombies, it's more or less the same. The developers decided to pick and choose which category weapons were available. It was a win-win for Treyarch, because when they made an older weapon available, many were happy from a nostalgia standpoint. It was a return of the king. When people saw a newer weapon, they were excited for a new entry in that category. Again, it didn't take much to make the Zombies community happy back then. Truth is, it still doesn't take much. I'm sure they'll figure it out eventually. What Treyarch did afterwards did really well too, but when they kept deviating from the original, it went outside the community's needs by the 4th installment. So the great reset of Cold War and Modern Warfare is a good place to plant a flag and see where things went. Vanguard, following up Cold War, was bad, and I can say that because it's the only one I have not played. Planning on doing a deep dive comparison between Vanguard and COD World War II, so if you think that'd be interesting, get subscribed. Vanguard was derivative of World War II, but I've seen people be very defensive that it was strictly a new game in the series. Sorry, what I mean is Vanguard tried very hard to reach the nostalgia crowd by baiting them with old guns and time periods, just like how World War II did. Only they were disrespectful with the old guns and time periods and said, screw it, EM1, Menendez. The reason why World War II of all of the COD games is getting roped back into all this is that I'm not sure we're seeing the utter irony of the last decade of COD. We're getting sold the same thing not every year, but every few years. After Vanguard came Modern Warfare 2. The 2022 installment had good bone structure, but it did too much in the way of differentiation between 2019. No one liked earning perks. As just an example, Modern Warfare 3 was a $70 DLC that completely devolved the game, which brought down the reputation of both games. Because, A, what in the world happened to this no longer supported game that was supposed to be supported longer that I paid, mind you, $70 for? And B, why is this new game the same game but lame? But don't worry, they thought of that by devolving Modern Warfare 3 into a Fortnite Mythic Weapon Showdown and dropping any active updates and developments for Modern Warfare 2. And with Black Ops 6, we've successfully reheated 3 older titles and increased the prices, along with a little cosmetic lunacy. Ooh. I've just never been so confused with this franchise until now. The more I think about it, the more questions I have. Will the next game be Black Ops 7? Or Black Ops 6 Part 2? Another forced $70 update? Will we ever get separation from Warzone? Will we ever get a semi-stagnant esports title to refine the Pro League COD players? Are we going to acknowledge how stupid the naming scheme has been for the last few years? Can we figure out how to count to 5 before we just, I don't know, keep rebooting? Also, side note, I got distracted while editing and I just saw Vanguard went on sale. So despite me feeling my body pull away from the buy button, I know I'll have to try it eventually. So that video is definitely happening. All right, usually when I hit the end of my talking points, I like to come up with a little constructive criticism. The cosmetics video I did kicking off this channel went pretty well in that department. And with how much pressure Marvel Rivals has put on Overwatch, they're actually reinstating earned cosmetics through loot boxes. Obviously, I don't think my suggestions reach higher ups at companies, but being level-headed about past nostalgia and pain points usually results in a solid bit of constructive criticism. The problem right now is that after 21 mainline games, I just don't know anymore. I think the idea of supporting a game for longer than 1 year was the clear way forward. But now that we're back on a game in a franchise that I'm not a fan of, it makes it challenging to even want to see a future from it. The worst thing they could do is a Black Ops 7 that ruins the integrity that 6 does have and just destroys the player base. I can't handle another $70 rotting bowl of fruit after a fresh apple I had the day before, and not even like an easy to eat fruit. It's like a bowl of kiwis and pomegranates because we just did apples and bananas, and how are we going to be different to differentiate between the last time's fruit? And you have to go and get a fork from the drawer because you can't peel it and eat the exotic stuff without getting your hands dirty, but then it doesn't matter because you turn it over and you see the sticker and it's already expired, and you swear the 2 was a 3, but you've already slightly squeezed it because it's way too soft, so you've already committed to it because the trash cans are already full, and seeing an uneaten fruit in there might make people think you're wasteful. When you were inspecting the fruit, it didn't smell bad. It still smells like fruit, but you take a bite and a bit of its peel gets in your mouth and the texture is all wrong. What you thought was going to be a nutritious part of your day ends up being the worst experience you've had with that food. So from now on, you always think of that fruit experience no matter where you have it. Like, it doesn't matter if it's in a smoothie or it's just like the flavor of a stick of gum. You always get a bit queasy just smelling it, or even looking at it for that matter, because again, when you did have it last, everything looked fine, but all it took was one time and the fruit was totally changed for your life. Kiwi's not a kiwi. The kiwi is Call of Duty, and there's 21 of them. And in this life, you're either top banana or chip chump. And my friends, I think whether you're a Black Ops 6 enjoyer or not, we gotta ask ourselves what we're doing with our lives.